For too long, our nation has been torn apart. Over the past decade, we have witnessed the rise of political and cultural divisions, amplified by policies that have prioritized identity over unity. Canada is stronger when we stand together, yet a radical agenda has sought to carve us into factions, pitting communities against one another for political gain.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. David Menzies with Rebel News. Mr. Poilievre, you recently said that any foreign nationals who are convicted of anti-Semitic crimes in Canada should be deported. But that is a very high bar. There have been very few arrests and very few prosecutions over the past 16 months. Indeed, according to police and prosecutors, the anti-Semitic encampments at universities were not crimes. Shouting for a new intifada and promoting genocide are not considered criminal. Question: would you be open to reviving Stephen Harper's ban on the glorification of terrorism?
Thank you. We're going to be releasing our election platform once the writ is dropped and the election is called. So you'll have to wait until then for those sorts of final decisions and commitments. But what I've made clear is that we have to reverse the hate and division that has been unleashed in this country over the last 10 years. The radical woke agenda that Justin Trudeau instituted and that Mark Carney has said explicitly he wants to continue has divided our people. He's broken people up into different ethnic, religious, cultural groups and turned them against each other. Liberals have deliberately divided community against community for electoral gain. And they have put in place an ideology that obsesses about every single possible ethnocultural division. And what is the result? A 251% increase in violent hate crime under this last decade of the Trudeau-Carney Liberals. So I will end that radical woke ideology. I will treat every single Canadian equally. We will cut off the funds that have gone to anti-Semitic groups and to other hate mongers. We will pass tough new laws that punish people who vandalize or attack places of worship. We will deport foreign nationals who are in this country that engage in violence or law-breaking of any kind, including anti-Semitic violence. And we will ban every single terrorist group that's operating here. We'll find and deport all of the IRGC thugs. There are apparently 700 IRGC thugs who are in Canada today, operating with impunity, who are not citizens. They're spending the stolen money that they took from the Iranian people while they instigate divisions on our grounds in this country. They will be kicked out of this country. We're going to put our country first. And finally, our approach is going to be that we are all Canadians. Every Canadian will be Canadian first. You can come from anywhere in the world. You can have any religious background you want. At the end of the day, we need a common identity with a common loyalty that puts that flag above everything else.
We must reverse the hate and division that has been unleashed upon our country. The statistics paint a dire picture. Violent hate crimes have surged by 251% over the last 10 years. This is not the Canada we know, nor the Canada we want for future generations. We must confront these realities with conviction, policy, and an unwavering commitment to national cohesion. The past decade has seen an obsession with ideological divisions, forcing Canadians to focus on their differences rather than what unites them. Instead of fostering dialogue and shared national pride, political leadership has embraced a narrative that fuels resentment and social fragmentation. The radical policies of recent years have eroded the foundational values that made Canada a beacon of stability and prosperity. Canada's future demands decisive action against those who seek to spread violence and hate within our borders. We cannot allow individuals, whether domestic or foreign, to jeopardize the safety and stability of our communities. We must deport any non-citizen who commits acts of violence, anti-Semitism, or incites hatred. Temporary residents who come to Canada under the pretense of opportunity but choose lawlessness must not be given the privilege of staying. This is not about partisanship or ideology, it is about common sense. If a foreign national engages in criminal behavior, they should have no place in our society. This extends to groups and organizations that promote hatred and violence. It is time to cut all government funding to entities that endorse division and extremism. Additionally, we must take immediate action against terrorist organizations operating within our borders. Reports indicate that there are 700 identified operatives from hostile foreign groups residing in Canada, using stolen wealth from their home countries to fund activities that threaten our sovereignty. This must end. Every identified member of such groups should be swiftly removed from Canadian soil. Canada is built on principles of fairness, opportunity, and shared responsibility. The division we see today is a result of policies that prioritize identity politics over national unity. This is why we must reject the notion that our country is defined by group affiliations rather than by shared values. At the core of our nation is the belief that every Canadian is Canadian first, regardless of where they come from or what their background may be. We cannot afford to continue down a path where different groups are manipulated into conflict for political purposes. This country belongs to all who respect its laws, contribute to its prosperity, and uphold its values. No one should be made to feel like they are part of a secondary class based on their ethnicity, religion, or political beliefs. A government that values its people must do more than just talk, it must act. That is why tough new laws must be passed to protect places of worship, religious institutions, and public spaces from targeted violence. Canada must ensure that anti-Semitism, extremism, and any other form of racially or politically motivated violence are met with severe consequences. Furthermore, it is time to examine the policies that have allowed for unchecked radicalization within academic institutions. There must be accountability for universities and organizations that shelter and enable extremist ideologies. It is also imperative that we evaluate and reform policies concerning the glorification of terrorism. If a law once existed to prevent such behavior, we must ask, why was it removed? Was it not effective, or was it discarded in the name of political correctness? A government that is serious about protecting its citizens will take a hard stance against those who seek to undermine our values. For Canada to reclaim its strength and unity, we must rise above the political games of division. Every individual, regardless of their background, deserves to feel safe and valued as part of this country. Our flag represents one nation, not a collection of competing groups fighting for attention and resources. A nation divided is a nation weakened, and Canada cannot afford to continue down this trajectory. Our future depends on leaders who are willing to confront hard truths and take decisive action. We must stand for a country where law and order prevail, where citizenship and loyalty to Canada matter, and where radical ideologies have no place. It is time to reject policies that have fostered division and instead embrace a renewed vision of national unity and shared purpose. A strong Canada is a united Canada. A united Canada is one where citizens come together under a single identity, proud of their country, their communities, and their contributions to its future. That is the Canada we must reclaim. That is the Canada we will build together.